Hello and welcome to Dr. Joe's Health and Sanity Call. I'm Dr. Joe, a wellness expert and professional speaker who helps busy people stay healthy, sane, and productive. For more information of how I can help you and your organization, visit drjoe.com, drjo.com. Hello and welcome to today's Health and Sanity Call with me, Dr. Joe. Today's guest is Debbie Pearson. For over 35 years, Debbie felt like she was searching for something. Then she began to realize that what was missing is knowing herself on a deep, intimate level. And finding such satisfaction after finding herself, she now runs programs to help others do the same. Welcome, Debbie.
Joe, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. So you kind of caught me with this. She went searching for it or something, and yeah, I have a feeling that I'm feeling some of that myself. What exactly does that mean?
Well, I think that in our lives, something was missing in our childhood, and I think most people can relate to that in some form or another. And we have a tendency to, put on our big girl panties or, buck up, we don't cry, all those little cliches and all those actual things that occurred as we were growing up have forced us to almost forget that there's some part of us that we really are not sure who we truly are. We know a lot about ourselves, obviously, but it's like deep down inside. And so I went on a search at some point because I didn't understand that. Like, something's missing, but what is it? And I put my career on a trajectory. I worked as direct support for a 4-star general. It was a prestigious position, but for me, it wasn't it. Something was still missing. And during that time, I also decided I got to go search for it, right? So of course I did tons of reading, self-help books. I went on to seminars and to workshops, and I always would get a little bit, but it never was quite it, right? I also ended up going.
Were you always a lover of self-help? Did you kind of search that out?
Oh, lover of self-help? Oh no, it's more like I hated something, and I was searching to appease that something. Like, it was a discord inside of me. And I was searching for what was, I keep calling it because I really have no idea until later what to call it. But it was like I was just searching and searching and searching, and I didn't know what I was looking for. I ended up even walking across Spain, 500 miles backpack trip, right? Looking for it. And it was fabulous. It was an amazing, amazing experience. And then I came back home and I still hadn't found it, right? And so a year later, I ended up, I got to get out of here. I was working at that same place, and I'm like, I just got to go. This isn't it. So I quit my job. I sold everything I owned. I drove away. And again, it was fabulous, but I hadn't found it. So of course, it's, you take a little break, but your brain's still going, it's not settled. It's not settled. And finally, I came across the work of two people, Jack Russell and Glenda Otto, at the Center for Self-Sustaining Leadership. Well, once I learned about that work, what that work started teaching me was to dig deep down inside, to discover not just what colors I like and what flavor ice cream I like, but like, who am I as an individual?
So the term you use is self-sustaining leadership. So it's kind of like leadership skills, not for leading other people, but for leading yourself?
Yes, and self-sustaining, where as you learn these skills, you can then sustain your own self-leadership. Okay, so it's a way to, what happens today, and we learn something in a webinar or whatever, and we go on about our lives, and if something occurs, we can apply that. But this skills-based learning is like, what happens 3 years from now when something happens? Like, what do you do then? In this skills-based learning, it's like you can recall, because there's there's so much applicability to life on a regular basis that you just like put that, you go, oh, you know what? Like we have something called stop, drop, and roll. And every one of us will have something occur in our lives where there's this immediate strong reaction, right? Well, I say, remember when stop, drop, and roll was when the fireman came into the classroom and said, stop if you're running, drop to the ground, and roll till you put the fire out.
Right.
But my thought was, what if the fire's in your head? You know, like, what do you do when you're like raging because you're so angry about something? So for us, the program, and it's a little more obviously than what I'm going to speak about, but you stop the moment you have that very strong reaction. You drop back and you go, where did this happen in the past, right? And you realize, oh my gosh, maybe childhood, the person in front of me is not, really shouldn't bear the brunt of like 40 or 50 years of anger, right? So you roll into a new story, like what could possibly else be going on in reality right here versus what I'm bringing from the past and putting in front of the situation that's going on right now. And so stop, drop, and roll has become just a mainstay of this program. So you remember that.
Can I interrupt just for a second? Because I can identify with that. I remember early on in my 20s being in a serious relationship, probably for the very first time. And there was something that annoyed me when he would say to me, how was your day? And I would like, and I thought, that is weird. Like, why should I approach it that way or feel that way? And anyway, I journaled about it, and I remembered a image, called my mom about it to kind of verify, why am I having these memories of? And it was a memory of coming home from school, going to the front door, peeking in one of the little windows onto the right or the left of the front door and looking around to find my mom. And like, I didn't want to go in the house if I saw her or whatever. And I had a good relationship with my mom. So I called her up and I said, what's that all about? And she said, oh, okay, well, you're describing the Fishkill house. Okay, we moved there in this year. And she went through the whole thing. And what it was is I was in junior high. So even though I had 8 brothers and sisters, I was the first person who came home from school. And my mom started work from 3 to 11 as a nurse. So I came home and she had roughly 5 minutes to tell me everything that had to be done. Who needed to put on dinner, who needed to wash the laundry, who needed to take so-and-so to the dentist, the doctor, the games. In other words, I was the commander of all that. And when she explained that to me, that comment didn't bother me because it took out the past. Yes. That would be an example of stop, drop, and roll, right?
Absolutely. And I will share another story that gives almost a very different perspective of, I moved in with my mom who has dementia, right? So I'm caregiver for the home, and I'm taking my dog outside to go for a little walk. And our neighbors next door have been working like for a year, putting together what I call a cabana, because it's like a swimming pool and the decking and the umbrellas and everything. But when I walked outside, and on the fence, which is a wooden fence, they had hung some lights, except the wiring was a little bit this way and like short and then long and then halfway. And it wasn't pretty at all, right? And I'm talking only 2 years ago. I know this material, but this was excessive for me. I went to a tailspin in my head. How dare he be so disrespectful? Doesn't he know what it looks like on this side of the fence? And I just went on and on. I hated him, okay? And this went on for like 2 days. I could not resolve in my mind anything other than how disrespectful this man was. And he was a horrible person. And it just went on and on. But at some point, walking the dog again, because I would always go through that same door, so I saw it several times a day. Oh, I'm like, you got to get a hold of yourself. Think, what can you do to come to a safer place about this, or a more comfortable place? And I went, oh my God, I could stop, drop, and roll, right? So I said, what happened? Okay, I walked outside, immediate anger. The emotion was disrespect. That was my stop moment. It was disrespect. Drop back. Where did that come from? Oh, lots of disrespect when I was growing up. A lot of disrespect when I was growing up. And then, all right, okay, you've got to roll into a new thought or a new story. You cannot carry this anger around for yourself, but you also cannot carry this anger around. So when you see these people, what are you going to do? So I thought for a moment, I thought, they've been working on that backyard for a year. None of those projects got done in a day. Maybe he's not finished his project. Maybe, probably not is what I went through my head, but maybe, right? I thought, all right, sure enough, the next time I walked outside, there he was standing outside, but I was so much calmer. And I said, oh, hey, you guys have done such a great job in your backyard, blah, blah, blah. It's so pretty. And I noticed the lights you put up. And he's like, oh, yeah, we got to finish painting the fence and then I'll be tacking them in place. But I want to be able to remove them when we paint. I was so happy that I knew about stop, drop, and roll, or I would have probably gone off on this man for nearly 50 plus years of anger. And of course, I would have been deemed the crazy lady of the neighborhood, and appropriately so, because he has no idea what's going on with me. So stop, drop, and roll is just a really, really very positive. It's one of the skills, right, that we learn. And
you
I'm
resolved
amazed.
that. Did you resolve it? Did they hang the
Easily
lights?
resolved. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, they were really nice right now. If I'd have thought about it, I'd have taken a picture to show you. I mean, he hung them nicely, tacked them in place. They're very, very well done. And so there's
a really good example.
But the most beautiful thing, thank you for that. The most beautiful part is being able to take a story that in your head is so real in the moment, having a way to shift it over, to see it from a different perspective, but still being completely true to yourself. And then like you said, it took the bite out. I didn't feel such anger or rage. I was able to communicate with this person on an even keel level. I mean, there's a little bit of churning on the inside. Don't get me wrong. I'll tell the truth, right? I'm human. There's a little angst inside of there, but I was able to speak in a way that allowed me to seem reasonable, but I didn't even really need to go into the story with him at all, because I found out what the truth was, not what I was thinking. And how often do we think we know what we know that we know because we think we know it? And that's not necessarily the truth, right? So finding out about self-sustaining leadership and all of that work of finding out what's really going on inside of me, self-observation, self-accountability, self-responsibility. A lot of us do it, but to what depth? We know what other people do that annoy us and aggravate us, but do we know what we do in general? And not saying we should change for other people, but what we do that exacerbates other people's behavior. So the it that I found out was, who am I? Who am I truly? Because growing up the way I grew up, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to growing up in a way that they wish was different, right? Our parents said, well, you didn't come with a playbook or how did they say that? You didn't come with a
owner's
book
manual or something like that.
Yeah. You didn't come, and it's true. It's true. We didn't. But I think that the self-sustaining leadership work, actually, even though our parents didn't have it, learning it, we can pass on what we've learned in these lessons to other people, just like you and I did today, right? In 5 or 10 minutes, a whole lesson got translated. And so hopefully a lot more people will be able to use that in their daily life.
So you shared with me another exercise yesterday when we were talking.
Yeah.
Do you want to share that?
Sure, I'd love to. Okay, so even after I learned so much about who I am, I found there were still things in my life coming up that I was like, I don't want that in my life. What is going on? Like, how do I, this is what I don't want. And so my brain started asking the question, well, what do I want? How do you get what you do want? And in that research, I came across a part of our brain called the reticular activating system. And if it's okay with you, I would like to talk a little bit about what it is, how it's used, and do a little activity with everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, Okay, thanks. Okay, so the reticular activating system is actually very, very long-standing in our brain. So it's right in the brain stem, right above the spinal cord. And it's a tightly woven bundle of nerves that processes all of the stimuli that we receive on a daily basis and in every given moment, in every second. And it never, ever sleeps. That's why you can be sleeping and awake in the middle of the night and you're like, oh, the baby's crying. Like otherwise we're like unconscious, right? So there's certain things it's going to let in because it's super, super important. But the rest of the stuff that we're bombarded with, the lights, the sounds, everything but smell, that's olfactory and that's a different part of the brain. But all the other senses that we have, the other four, go to this tightly woven bundle of nerves, and it has to process what is important and what is not. And here's the ratio. We could be bombarded with like millions of bits of data at any given second, but the reticular activating system can only process and allow into the conscious mind about 100 bits of information. So what does it let in? It lets in what you deem is important, and what you deem is important is what you focus on. So this is where I would like to go to the little activity to help share in real time what that means. Okay? Okay. So let's say if you're listening to this and driving, be cautious, of course, but if you're just hanging around and sitting in a chair somewhere, participate and in this way. So in just a moment, I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, go. And when I do, I'd like for you to just, wherever you are, you don't need to turn all around or anything, but just glance around and count all the red things you see. Okay? We're just looking for red things. So look for red things or close to red and count them. I'm going to put 6 seconds on the clock. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, stop. You have your number in your mind of how many red things you saw. All right, now don't peek. I'm going to ask you a question. How many blue things did you see? Okay, don't peek, okay?
I didn't notice
trying,
any.
right? Well, that's okay. That's okay, because that's perfect, actually, because what were you concentrating on looking for? Go ahead, Joe.
Red.
What were you concentrating? All right, thanks.
Yeah.
So red things, right? All right, now let's go ahead and look for blue things. All right, so again, safely, everybody that can, go ahead and for the next 6 seconds, we're going to look for blue things or things that are blue in nature. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, stop. Now I'm sure you have a number for that too. And don't look, but I want to know, how many yellow things did you see? Now don't get mad at me.
That was easy.
Yeah, you got a big yellow background. Yes, so how many yellow things did you see? It's like, what I'm trying to share with you is, when we look for red things, we see red things. When we look for blue things, we see blue things. And even though we didn't look for yellow things, we can go ahead and glance around and see that there's some yellow things out there.
Plenty.
So the reason I'm sharing this is, what if we, as part of this activity, say red things are negative things, blue things are positive things, yellow things are opportunities. When we were looking for red things, negative things, what did we find?
Negative things.
Exactly. Negative things, red things, same concept for right now. If we're looking for them, we find them everywhere we go. But if we can be honest with ourselves, as we look around, the blue things, positive things, yellow things, opportunities, they're all around us too, right? But when we just look for red things, negative things, we just find those things. Now, don't get me wrong. As you look for your blue and yellow things, red things are going to show up. We can't necessarily stop a red thing from showing up, a negative thing, but what we can choose is how long we're going to focus on it and how often we're going to place focus and importance to that negative red thing. So that's the activity, is in real time to show us when we focus on a specific something. Let's try focusing on blue and yellow, or positive and opportunities, and find more of those, because we can.
Right. So,
yes.
And it fits right in with the theme that we've been talking about for the last couple of months, is looking for the things that we can control, the things that we can change to make us feel better. There's so many things we have no control over.
Yes.
Obviously, things that are negative right now.
Sure.
But we do have control over what we focus on. And I love the stop, drop, and roll analogy. That was excellent.
Good,
Well,
good. Glad. Yeah.
Debbie, I know that you have a book out right now called
I do.
Just Want to Be Happy. I love the title of that.
Thank you.
And that's available on Amazon right now.
It
right?
is as an ebook. As an ebook right now. It's
As an
probably
ebook,
going to be mid-July before it's a physical book.
Okay, fabulous. So just look for I Just Want to Be Happy. Debbie Pearson with an O-N, S-O-N, right?
Pearson.
And Debbie, how can we reach out to you if we want more information?
Probably the easiest way, because like all of us, Joe, we've got like 50 million ways to go. info@debbiepearson.com is the easiest way. You can go to my website too,
D-E-B-B-I-E.
Yes, DEBBIEPEARSON.com.
Fabulous. Okay.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks, Dr. Joe.
Check out her website and email her if you have any questions.
Absolutely.
I'm going to let you all go. I hope you have a fabulous weekend, and we'll see you again on Monday. Bye, Debbie.
Bye, Dr. Joe. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye. If you enjoyed today's Health and Sanity Call, please subscribe to the channel and share it with others. For more information about how I can help you and your organization, visit drjoe.com. That's just 4 letters, drjo.com.